Legends, before I start this episode, I have to elaborate on something that I left out in the Empire Strikes Back review. That was, I mentioned that time seemed to just stop existing at one point during the film. Now, I don't mean to be ripping these movies apart, I absolutely love them. But there is a part in The Empire Strikes Back where it just seems the time kind of stops. And what I mean by that is, it's the period between our heroes leaving Hoth and then meeting up again on Cloud City on Bespin. Now, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, C-3PO disappear in the Millennium Falcon. They're getting chased by the Empire constantly until they get to Cloud City. Luke, on the other hand, leaves, goes to Dagobah and does quite a bit of training with Yoda before he senses that the rest of them are in trouble and has to leave to go and rescue them. Now, this is nitpicking, but these days people are obsessed with absolutely everything in movies making 100% sense, and that's the kind of the viewpoint I was going on with this review. And you know, in my mind, if I'm Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon, again, love the movies, getting chased by the Empire, I am not going to be too worried about anything else but survival in this movie. And Han Solo, Harrison Ford, we know he can grow an epic beard. Like we've seen that in the Indiana Jones films and The Fugitive, epic long beard. This movie, 100% completely clean shaven the entire time throughout the movie. Now, he's clean shaven when he leaves Hoth. He's clean shaven when he reaches Bespin. He's clean shaven when he's frozen in carbonite at the end of the film. And as I say, Luke Skywalker is away off to a different planet, doing quite a bit of training with Yoda before he disappears from the Dagobah to go and rescue them on Bespin, Cloud City. That is incredibly nitpicking stuff. I do. Where is my phone at? I need to put that thing in silent. That is insanely nitpicking, I know, but again, people are obsessed with everything making sense these days, and that is just something that kind of stuck out to me while watching The Empire Strikes Back. But again, absolutely love these movies. But that is what I meant in the last review. It was pointed out to me that I didn't elaborate on what I meant by that, so that's what that was. So yes, I'm going to stop digressing now, and we're going to start the episode, and we're going to review The Return of the Jedi. Guys, welcome along to Coins Age Media. I am your resident geek, Rodney Stewart. The ending to the original trilogy of Star Wars movies. Now, I absolutely love these movies, grew up on them. Like, you know, the first one was out before I was born. The second one came out when I was about a year old, year and a half, 2 years old, something like that. And the last one came out and I was a very, very small child. And I don't know if I've told the story in past reviews, but I can remember actually the promotion of the movie whenever I was a kid, and there was this awesome toy store a couple of miles from where I live at, where I grew up at, still there, awesome shop, Crawford's in Mackeraw, Northern Ireland. If you're about, you need to check that toy store out. I don't know what it's like these days, but back in the 80s it was absolutely epic. We all loved it. But there was 2 flights of stairs to the second floor, and on the little lantern piece between the 2 flights of steps, there was a life-size cardboard cutout of Darth Vader at the top of the stairs. Freaked me the heck out as a kid, and it's the only time I didn't want to go to the toy shop with mummy. But anyway, that's my memory of the movie coming out. Obviously I'd never seen them in their original versions in the cinema, but it did get a chance to go see them all on the big screen again when the special editions were re-released. The movies were re-released as the special editions. I can't speak tonight. I'm like just back from the gym. Got my ass handed to me there, and yes, I need some sleep. But the Empire, the Return of the Jedi. This movie, like Episode 4, is a slow burner at the start. Basically, a good chunk of time has passed. Luke has become a Jedi Knight. Lando Calrissian and Chewbacca have tracked down Han Solo, still frozen in carbonite. He's in the clutches of the evil gangster Jabba the Hutt. And this whole opening sequence of the film, right up to they get off the planet, it's just exactly like Episode 4. That first chunk on the desert planet Tatooine, we're back in that at the beginning of this movie, as a slow burn. And even as a Star Wars fan, I still to this day find the first chunk of this movie a little bit on the boring side, and I could jump out of it at any time. And I always say to people that don't know the Star Wars movies, if you haven't seen them before, give them that first half hour, especially episodes 4 and 6. Once you get over that there, we're flying. Of course there's a rescue attempt, Princess Leia and Luke, everyone's involved. Lando Calrissian is still there at the beginning of the movie. He's posing as like an alien guard sort of a thing. Chewbacca has been captured and taken in to custody by Jabba the Hutt's henchmen. R2D2 and C-3PO are sent by Luke Skywalker to deliver a message, and unbeknownst to them, during the message, Luke actually offers them as a gift to Jabba the Hutt as a showing of goodwill. And yes, so they're put to work in Jabba's palace, and like he's not going to let Han Solo go. This is all a negotiation ploy to try and get Han freed. So eventually Luke turns up, and for my I love Luke Skywalker, the character of Luke Skywalker, but in this movie he just does not deliver the threats as well as I would have hoped. He's too much of a pretty boy to be acting the hard man the way he is at the beginning of this film, where he's threatening Jabba the Hutt and whatnot. He's a Jedi Knight at this point. He can hand someone's ass to them if he needs to, but he just doesn't sell it well at the beginning of this film. And he ends up getting knocked through a trapdoor, which is another little kind of thing where there's little pieces that got just jump out to me during the Star Wars movies. It's like the completely, like a Jedi has to be aware of his surroundings and whatnot, and always like premonition sort of thing. You can see things before they happen, and this trapdoor is one of those things like Luke doesn't know it's there, and he falls down, and he's under this massive beast, and he fights it off, and eventually gets it killed using an automatic door. Comes down on it, and they're sent to the Sarlacc pit. One of the other things is the fact that Luke and Leia never actually realised that they're actually brother and sister. Spoilers if you've never seen the movies. Yes, until Obi-Wan turns up as a Force ghost and kind of leads Luke into the discovery for himself, sort of thing. But like, been strong with the Force, this is one of these things that I was kind of like, I've always kind of thought to myself that you should have known that something wasn't quite right between him and Princess Leia, which brings up the eternal question about the brother sister kiss in The Empire Strikes Back, which a lot of people make a lot of jokes about. Anyway, Sarlacc pit. They're taken there to be executed by Jabba the Hutt, and Luke hands out another warning. He's going to give him one last chance, and the fight begins, and Luke is fighting against a lot of people on these barges that they're they're gliders, but they're big barge sorts of things. There's a massive one where Jabba the Hutt and all his guys are on. There's a couple of smaller ones that the prisoners are on, and Jabba the Hutt and all his henchmen have turned up, and like they're making a whole day of it. Like having a good time. We're gonna, drink and eat, and we're gonna watch these people getting killed. And look, has a lightsaber stashed inside R2D2, and he gives the wave, and R2D2, like, this little thing opens up in the top of his dome, and he shoots the lightsaber out towards Luke. He gets hold of it, and the fight begins. Han has been taken out of the carbonite at this point, and he's blind, and him, Lando Calrissian, Chewbacca are kind of like teamed up. More or less Han and Chewie, and they have to save Lando from the Sarlacc pit at one point. And the comedy moments between Han and Chewie in this movie are solid gold. It is. The delivery from Harrison Ford is absolutely brilliant. And there's a part where a tentacle comes out of the Sarlacc pit and grabs hold of Lando's leg. He's fallen onto the side of the pit, and this thing's dragging him down into it. And Han is supposedly still blind at this point, and he's got a blaster in his hand. He's like, hold still, hold still. He's trying to shoot the tentacle that's pulling Lando, and Lando's like, I thought you were blind. He's like, I can see much better now. It was just the delivery between those guys is very, very dry humour in this movie, but the way it is delivered is great. I really enjoyed this section of the movie. Boba Fett comes to a quick end in this movie. I haven't followed him in like the expanded universe sort of things, but for a character that everybody like bums up and blows that he's such a badass, like, in all honesty, in the original Star Wars trilogy, he was in the special editions. He turns up in episode 4 in an added scene with Jabba the Hutt, which was originally cut. Like, we didn't see that till the mid-90s, and that was cut since 77 when the first one was shot. He turns up briefly in The Empire Strikes Back to pretty much stand there and be like menacing and whatnot, and lets Darth Vader do his thing. Then he just basically takes Han and leaves. That's it. And then this movie, again, he's there for a few fleeting moments during the fight, and Han has like a stick in his hand, and Chewie's trying to warn him that Boba Fett is behind him, and he's like, Boba Fett, where? And he turns around, and the staff that he's holding hits the backpack, the rocket pack that Boba Fett wears, and it ignites, and he shoots across the Sarlacc pit and crashes into the side of Jabba's sail barge, falls down into the Sarlacc pit, and gets eaten. So, I have heard rumours that Boba Fett at some point could come back. Like someone was saying in the expanded universe, he actually survived the Sarlacc pit because of the armour that he was wearing. I can't confirm or deny that, but as far as the first trilogy of movies goes, that was the end of it for him. Eventually we get off Tatooine, and everybody goes their own ways. Again, Luke is heading off to Dagobah to complete his training with Yoda. Han, Leia, and the rest of them are going back to meet up with the rebel fleet. And we find out again there's a second Death Star, and the Emperor is going to be there. On Dagobah, Luke doesn't get any training. Yoda pretty much tells him that, he's going to croak it short, he's going to die. And, Luke's had all the training that he needs. And, Luke asks him, is Darth Vader my father? And Yoda goes into this whole thing about this. Did he tell you? And Luke is like, yeah. And Yoda is kind of like, this is unfortunate. And Luke is kind of like, unfortunate that I know the truth now. And Yoda is kind of like, it's unfortunate that, you're going to have to rush to face Darth Vader. You're not going to be a Jedi till you confront him again, sort of thing. At which point he pretty much dies. Obi-Wan turns up and as a Force ghost, and they have a little chat, and Obi-Wan finally comes clean that Darth Vader is indeed Luke's father, and what happened and how he got there. And Luke isn't really happy that he was lied to by Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan is kind of like, once Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader, the good man that he was destroyed. So in a sense, I was telling you the truth. This movie is great. I love it. There's only one thing that's ever stuck out to me in this movie has been a little bit strange. It's like Luke returns to the Rebel fleet. They're talking about the Death Star plans and what's happening, and their plans to destroy it. There's a little meeting where they're like, they're showing the Death Stars in orbit over Endor, sorry. Why did I put a Y on there? I know why I put a Y on there. Endor, if you put that backward, if you put a Y on the beginning of Endor, turn it around and read it backwards, it spells Rodney. Wow, that's class. The worthless, stupid information that no one needed. But the Death Star has been protected by a shield generator. The generator is on the planet below the Death Star, and it projects a beam from the planet up, which engulfs the entire Death Star. The plan is a group is going to land on the planet, disable the shield generator for the fleet to attack the Death Star. The thing that stuck out to me most in this movie is Shuttle Tidarium, an Imperial shuttle that the rebels have stolen. Now, Luke, Han, Leia, a group of rebels, Chewie's there of course, they're in Shuttle Tidarium, and they fly to Endor. The Super Star Destroyer and the fleet of Star Destroyers is above the planet. They fly up to the ship, and they're like, request permission for deactivation of the shield generator. And they've got an Imperial code, which is an old code, but I was going to clear it. That comes up in a minute. On the Imperial ship, Darth Vader is there, and the commander's like, this ship is, they're passing themselves off as parts and labour and whatnot for the Forest Moon, and they're requesting deactivation of the shield generator. Darth Vader turns up, and he's like, he catches on at this point. He knows what's happening. Like, he's like, let them land, I'll take care of it. And the thing that stuck out to me the most was, why in God's name did they have to fly up to the Star Destroyer with an Imperial code, request permission for the shield generator to be turned off if they're not going to land on the Death Star? That didn't really make much sense to me. Why deactivate the shield generator for the Death Star so that they can go and land on the planet? In my mind, it was kind of like, it would just be easier if you approached the planet from the very, very far side of it, into the atmosphere, flew around it, landed somewhere way off in the distance, and then went and tried to carry out your mission. That's just something that stuck out to me as a little bit of a loophole in the story. But again, excuse me, that's really, really nitpicking. I hate doing that sort of thing, but I kind of wanted to just take three movies that I absolutely adore and love, and just show you that, at some point during a movie it has to not make sense at some point. And if you get back and watch my review for episode 4 and you hope, the ending sequence of that movie, the end battle, is another thing that doesn't make any sense whatsoever as far as common sense goes. But as far as cinematically, this looks awesome goes, makes all the sense in the world. There's so many other films that I could take this frame of mind to and absolutely destroy your viewing experience of them, but I'm not going to do that unless I'm asked to. But structurally, I found that the Return of the Jedi is probably the strongest of all three of the original movies as far as plot points go. Apart from that one part there where, deactivate the shield generator for the Death Star, because we're not going to bother our asses landing on that, we're going to go this way instead. They get to the planet, try to take out the shield generator. Of course, they meet the Ewoks down there. There's a whole fight sequence on the planet where, and I'm cutting this down really tight here because I'm talking for 21 minutes here, guys. This is insane. The end of the film, Han, Leia, Chewbacca, they meet the Ewoks. They're kidnapped. They mistake C-3PO for a god. They release the heroes and join in the fight against the Empire. And they just prove that you don't need to be, some big supercharged army with all the technology in the planet to want to battle. Like the Ewoks, like take sticks and ropes and beat the Empire's ass with them. On the Death Star, of course, Luke has now been taken to Palpatine by Vader, and Palpatine's giving him the speech about, take your father's place at my side, and this is something that, watching the new movie, The Rise of Skywalker, there's been a lot of chat about how come Rey was able to kill the Emperor at the end of the film without her turning evil. And it is the fact that, and I'm not going to get into that now, I'm going to wait till I get to that, but Luke eventually loses control and he goes to strike the Emperor down, and Vader stops him with his lightsaber, and that's an excuse to get another lightsaber duel in this movie. But it is the first time in the movie where you start to see Vader isn't quite as evil as what we've been led to believe that he is. There is a part before he takes Luke to the Emperor on Endor where they've got a back and forth between the two of them, and it's probably one of my favourite sequences in cinematic history, because there's a part where Luke is trying to talk to the better part of Darth Vader, and he's like, I know who you are, you're Anakin Skywalker, you're my father, I can feel the good on you, I can feel the good side trying to fight its way out of you. And Darth Vader is like, it's too late for me, son, the Emperor is your new master, and he sends Luke off with a couple of stormtroopers. When he disappears out with the stormtroopers, Vader turns and he walks across to the camera, and he's looking out across the forest, and through just the body movement, so subtly done by Vader in this movie, and the music that accompanies it in the background, obviously he's in a black mask the whole time, the black suit. Visually there's nothing different with Vader in this part of the movie, but the body language, the score that's happening behind everything, there's so much emotion in that one sequence of Vader on his own standing there. It is absolutely brilliant. I could watch that little sequence backwards and forwards for literally hours. So well done. I love these movies. There's a lot of good visual storytelling stuff on there. There's a lot of stuff that does not need any description. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happens in these movies. There's no explanation as to why they're doing it. It's just visually done so well. You know what's happening. Back to the final battle. Luke and Vader are going to town on each other. And this time, Luke is kind of getting the upper hand on Vader. But at the same time, now he knows that Vader's his father. He doesn't want to fight. So there's a lot of, fighting, slap, slap, slap with the lightsaber, run away and hide sort of a thing. And then the penny drops. Vader, he's got into Luke's mind, and he works out that Leia is Luke's twin sister. And Vader's like, Obi-Wan was wise to hide her from me. If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. And it's at this point Luke loses all control, and he attacks Vader viciously at the end of the movie, fights him back, ends up cutting his hand off. And it's the same hand, the right hand. It's the same hand that Luke lost at the end of The Empire Strikes Back, and looks at Vader's hand that's missing there, and you can see he's mostly a robot at this point in his life, and you can see the hand cut off and the mechanical parts hanging out of it. Then Luke looks at his own hand. Looks. I was so stupid and wacky and lack of sleep. This is what I'm like whenever I'm not sleeping properly, just talking complete and utter nonsense. 27 minutes. I need to wrap this up. Yes. Luke comes to his senses and he's like, you've failed, Your Highness. I'm never going to turn to the dark side. I'm going to be a Jedi like my father before me. And Palpatine, for the first time in the trilogy, pulls out his electric boogaloo, and goes to town. And look, he's going to kill him stone dead. He's just like, I've had enough. This is it. If you're not going to turn, you're doomed. Back on the planet, Han Solo and the heroes down there have managed to gain access to the shield generator. Destroy that. The attack begins. Led by Lando Calrissian and the Millennium Falcon. And while they're going for the core of the new Death Star, Luke is getting pretty much ripped to shreds by Palpatine, and Luke is on his back, and he's crying for help, and he asks Vader, Father, please. And again, this is one of these moments in the movie where the visual storytelling is absolutely brilliant. The camera movement coming in towards Vader. Vader is looking down towards Luke. Every once in a while he turns and he looks at Emperor Palpatine. And, you can actually see the battle between good and evil happening within the helmet. It's beautifully done, absolutely. Out of all three of the movies, I probably like this one the best for that ending sequence. Vader turns and lifts Emperor Palpatine and chucks him down this massive long shaft down into the core of the Death Star, where he is. And I need to stress this right now before we get into the sequel trilogy that we just finished off, is actually incinerated. On screen, we see it happening. And, Vader redeems himself in this moment, but he's dying as well. And before he dies, he asks Luke to remove the mask for him. And there's a nice moment between the two of them where, Anakin tells him that, you were right about me the whole time, and they have a very quick. It's only a matter of a few lines between the two of them. But Vader's redeemed. He reassures Luke that you have saved me. Tell your sister you were right about me. then he dies, and of course Luke manages to get him onto the shuttle, the dead body, and escape the Death Star. Just as it explodes, Lando Calrissian and the rest of the Empire, the rest of the Rebel fleet have been successful in destroying the new Death Star. Then we get our end of the movie, where we have the celebration across the galaxy. Like you see Cloud City, I believe, and I'm trying to recall what the special editions have, because as good as the special editions are, as good looking as they are, I have always had a real soft spot for the original edits of the Star Wars movies without any of the, digital add-ons that the special editions had. And I do from time to time, if I'm going to watch Star Wars, I'll actually dig out one of the old VHS originals that we have about the house here, and I'll watch it in that there. Now, the quality is terrible, and some of them, it's like watching a movie without my glasses on. It's, but so good. We get the celebration sequence across Tatooine. I do believe that we do get a shot of Padme's home planet now. For some weird reason, the name of that planet has left me, but I do believe we get a shot of that was added into Return of the Jedi, Cloud City, of course. And then we get to see the capital, where the Emperor's statue has been knocked over. While this is happening, we see Luke burning Vader's dead body, and he comes back at the end of it all. We get the hero shot at the end of it with they're all on screen together, all the heroes, and there's we've got the Ewoks dancing around them. There's music playing, everybody's happy and smiling. Han and Leia have made up. Lando's there, he's doing this groovy little dance that I never actually caught on to for the longest time watching this movie. That last shot is very quick, but he's doing this little groovy little thing going in the corner of the shot. That's brilliant. And we see the ghosts of the Force ghosts of Obi-Wan and Yoda appearing, and then the Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker appears next to them. Now, I liked Hayden Christensen's portrayal of young Anakin Skywalker in episodes 2 and 3. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of feel it was a bad decision to digitally add him in to the end of the Empire. Why do I keep trying to call this movie The Empire Strikes Back? I do believe it's a bit of a mistake to add him in to the end of Return of the Jedi. I felt that it was just a better... Visually, it was better to have the old guy there that you seen in the suit when Vader died. It makes so much more sense for that to be the guy that's standing as the Force Ghost at the end of the movie. But beyond that there, the movie's absolutely brilliant. That is the memory. Look, I am all on for Star Wars movies. If Disney wants to release a new Star Wars movie every year from now until the day I die, I'm going to be in the cinema to check that movie out. Now, whether I like them or not, it's neither here nor there. It's a Star Wars movie. These movies are designed to be entertaining mainly, but there is a fanboy part of me that kind of feels that that's the memory that I choose to have of my heroes in Star Wars. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, the two droids, celebrating at the end of the movie. Evil has been punished, good has won, everybody lives happily ever after. Now, we do know that's not the case anymore with the new sequel trilogy, but I'm not going to lose any sleep really over them, because, as I say, I choose that as my memory of my heroes, and Yes, that's the way I want to remember them. But we're going to get into the rest of the Star Wars movies. I'm sorry that this review was as long as it has been. I didn't think this was going to happen. I was genuinely thinking to myself, there's quite a bit happens in this film, but you can compress it down quite easily. But once I get into hardcore geek mode, I'm going to talk for hours, essentially. Which is weird. If you meet me in real life, I'm actually very, very shy. But that's going to do it for my review of Return of the Jedi. I got the name right that time. So, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I will see you in the next video.